There it is. All right, welcome everyone to the 2021 Virtual Diesel Days. We are doing it a little bit different this year, but we hope to give you the same information or some really great information from these industry folks. By now, you all should have watched the 5 videos of the Ford industry and then LCC's Diesel Tech program. If you haven't watched those videos yet, feel free to do so after this webinar so you can still get that in-person experience of what their companies are like. So my name is Bree Vincent. I'm a project coordinator with Connected Lane County, and I'll be hosting the live Q&A today. We'll just go ahead around for the first question and have everyone introduce who you are, what your title and organization is, and then maybe just talk a little bit. I'll switch it up and just talk a little bit about what your company does. So name, title, what your company does. And let's start on the screen with Steve at LCC.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Steve Webb. I'm one of the instructors in the diesel program at Lane Community College. Our program is a 2-year AAS degree program, and our job, I guess what we do is we prepare you to go to work at the companies that are represented here today.
Great, and then Jacob at LCC as well.
Hey, my name is Jacob Tidball. I'm the other instructor out here at LCC. I work side by side with Steve, and we both have the same goals.
Great. Brian at Peterson Cat. You are muted.
So I'm Brian Evans with Peterson Cat, Regional Product Support Manager, Southern Oregon. Peterson's a dealer for Caterpillar equipment, forestry, construction, quarry. Our power gen side, our international truck dealerships. We've got our hands in a lot of things, so it covers just about every corner of the industry. So.
Great. Brian at Poppy Automotive.
Hey, I'm Brian at Poppy Automotive out in Bonita, Oregon. We're just a general automotive repair and light diesel shop. So we don't do any of the big stuff, but we do F-350s, 250s, a lot of Dodge Common stuff. I'm the shop foreman here.
Pretty good for now. Yeah,
okay. And Randy?
So my name is Randy Martin. I'm an operations and rental manager for Pape Rents and Pape Material Handling. Pape has different divisions. I happen to work mostly for the rental division. So we do a lot of construction rentals, forklift rentals, that kind of thing. On our material handling side, we're the Heister and Yale forklift dealer. We also have 2 machinery divisions that carry both John Deere equipment. And then we're also the Kenworth dealer.
Great. And Arlen, wrap us up.
Yes, as long as I can stay on my coverage here. But yes, I'm Arlen Rexius. I'm president of Rexius Forest Byproducts in Eugene, which is about a 90-year-old company here, as well as president of Conveyor Application Systems, where we manufacture a number of equipment around the gravel, concrete, and mulching industry. And we're a worldwide company sending equipment that way. So we both those companies utilize a lot of LCC students, so that's why I'm involved.
Yes, I heard a lot of talk about how folks at your companies have come through the LCC program. So that's great to hear that local students are getting their education and then staying here locally. So can you tell us a little bit, sometimes our paths to where we are aren't so straight. Sometimes they can be, but sometimes we take little detours. So can you just give us, let's do the same order for this one as well. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you got here into the positions that you're in or with the companies that you're in? And we'll start with Steve and then Jacob.
Okay, so let's see. I came to Lane Community College back in 1996 and came through the program. Shortly after I finished up with the program, one of the instructors had begun to consider retirement, and so I got started out here at Lane actually in 1999, and then became full-time in 2000, and I've been thankful to be part of the program ever since. I I get to help these folks as they come through our program, get their careers started and go to work in the local industry. So.
And I grew up in the country, was breaking a lot of toys and lawnmowers and dirt bikes and bicycles, and eventually turned into a passion for building trucks, and realized pretty soon in high school I couldn't afford to pay people to work on stuff. So I did it myself, started a career at Bigfoot Beverages, was in the shop for about 13 years and wanted to pursue a management position at that company. So I came through the diesel program to get my degree. So I kind of did it in a backwards order, I guess. And then just like Steve, shortly after that, he realized how good of a mentor he was. And so I decided I wanted to work alongside him. Got the opportunity.
Great. Brian and Brian, same order.
Okay. I started out of high school in 1983, just sweeping floors and cleaning the shop. Times were slow, so a couple things changed. Things happened, ended up in parts for a while, sales, rental. Tried a lot of different things within the company, and this kind of brought me around to management side and ended up in the Eugene area, which brought me around to the LCC group, and that's been a good relationship down there. So I think it's just it's a good area. It's a good place to start here.
So me, I actually started out at the Lane Community College automotive program and then did an apprenticeship here at Poppy Automotive, kind of an after hours, after school type of situation. And then that just evolved into me becoming a full-time technician. And then eventually where I am now is shop foreman, kind of overseeing a lot of stuff that happens out in the shop.
Great. Randy and then Arlen.
So for me, I started right out of high school in '95, kind of the same path as Brian, sweeping floors, washing equipment. Got the opportunity to do a lot of things, deliver equipment, went and did some classes, ended up as a tech, field tech, changed companies a couple of times, but throughout that process ended up as a service manager, an office manager, and a branch manager for other locations. And then landed here at Pape and was able to move into the position that I'm currently in.
Okay. And Arlen, you're on the move, but can you tell us how you got here?
Yeah, I'm almost in. Yeah, no, my story is really simple. Our company, like say, almost 90 years in.
We lost you, Arlen. All right, we might have lost him again until he gets back. He might lose connection. So, Arlen, we missed the whole thing.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, I'm going to try to figure out and just get in here where I got coverage anyway. So give me a minute.
Okay, we'll start the next question and then we'll have you introduce yourself.
Okay.
All right. So next question, we can popcorn this one, whoever thinks of the answer first. What is the most rewarding part of your work? What's your favorite thing you do? Thing that makes you most excited? Yeah, Brian.
One of the best things being in general automotive and light duty diesel is we do a lot of diagnostic here, and it's probably the most rewarding part is figuring out, solving that really hard problem, especially if it came from another shop or multiple shops, they couldn't figure it out. Makes it here, we figured it out, customer's happy, we're happy because we solved it. So that's definitely the most rewarding part for sure.
Great.
I think, I enjoy the customer service side. We work with employees that have got 40 years of experience down to high school graduates that need some confidence. And so I just enjoy working with people and the customer interactions that we get to do now. So.
Yeah, now I guess I'll go. My real change of what I get out of enjoyment. Obviously, as the career paths were pretty different, but just like Brian at Poppy Automotive, there, when I was in the shop, that successfulness of just troubleshooting that thing, especially with a couple other guys couldn't get in the shop. And now it's just evolved to being able to try to pass that knowledge on to as many students as I can and get them back in your guys' shops so they can serve you guys as ready as they can be in 2 years. That's a pretty short time, but yeah, we try.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing I heard that I learned was the folks who do well in this industry are problem solvers, and it sounds like it's a skill that's needed, but it's also one of the successes. You just heard it, so I think that's really great to kind of connect. Like that skill that's needed is also that like proud moment that you have within yourself. Randy?
Yeah, I would say probably just on a personal level, my two favorite things about my job are the customer interaction that I get every single day, and it's different every single day. So my days are not on repeat. It's something new every single day. And then the second half of my job that I really enjoy is mentorship. So a lot of my job is training, setting up training, and then doing a lot of training myself and really using my past experience, just doing a vast, different jobs, and then giving the opportunity to other people to learn from, even my mistakes that I made along the way, so they don't have to repeat them. But those are definitely the two things I enjoy the most.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
I'd probably say something there.
Yeah.
So probably the most rewarding part of the job out here at Lane is watching the students come in at any age, right out of high school, often, and develop over the course of 2 years. See, we have them for a couple of years as they're learning all the different subjects in our program and preparing for the industry. And I know Jacob would attest to this as well. It's just great to be a part of that learning process. You can tell right away when the students begin to understand where we're going and the subjects we're learning and just develop those skills. So I think it's just tremendous being part of that and watching it happen.
Great.
All right, I'm back.
There you are. All right, so Arlen, we're gonna put it all on you now. If you could introduce yourself, or we already did that. Talk about how you got here, and then maybe talk about your favorite thing, biggest accomplishment, anything like that.
Okay, start over again. Hang on, I'm getting some reverb here, so hang on 1 second. Okay, no echo now? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, my story was simple on my my introduction of why I'm here at LCC was our company is like 90 years in the business locally, and I loved cars and trucks, and I knew that that's the part I wanted to be in, the auto diesel industry, to manage all the equipment. We had over 400 pieces of rolling stock at the time in the company, so I knew that was a vital part. So that's what I did, and that was 1974, so a long time ago. And the other question was, I was thinking around, but I think you want to know what my greatest accomplishment or what I love about this work?
Yep, most rewarding, favorite thing, what you love.
Well, in our manufacturing part of the company, we've been able to manufacture some state-of-the-art equipment. Like I have 11 patents on equipment design and stuff, and I've been able to help design fracking systems that I know it's a bad thing to say, but we injecting sand into the ground. But anyway, we built some state-of-the-art and patented it for another company. So that was a pretty huge success of mine personally and our company.
Great. So I will remind the folks who are watching this right now, educators and students, if you have any questions that come up during this webinar, please just put them into the chat or the question and answer, and I will make sure to get those asked to these folks. whether it's a general question or a question to a specific company. I will make sure to get those answered. But for now, let's just start and go through, we did this video and we're talking to high school students or LCC students. So let's just dive right into how to get them prepared and get that basic information. So what level of education do you prefer? High school, diploma, GED, does it matter? And then I know we talked about how some companies will hire LCC students before their time ends, but do you have a preference on education level, GED versus diploma, anything like that? And we'll just, whoever wants to start.
Go first. So for us, I think it really just depends on what the student wants to do. So we have everything from entry level to if you want to, go directly into being a tech. I think the LCC program's great. So I really think it just depends on what the student's looking to do, where they want to start out, and what we can do to help them get there. So we're definitely open to any level of education, and we have programs too to help them along the way.
Yeah, I would say the same. We have a whole range of experience that comes in the door. We train and mentor a lot of younger people, but then we have people that have a lifetime in it that want to just make a little change, and so it ranges real widely there. But as far as just a good fit, good people, good attitude, I mean, that's pretty much where we go first. Somebody that can work safely every day. Those are the important things that we look for. So,
yeah. For the most part, we generally prefer a high school diploma or GED. It's definitely not required. It really just depends on your experience. If you're coming in as an apprentice, we don't really expect a whole lot of education from you. If you're coming in as a full-fledged technician, we want some certifications or some type of degree. And obviously we would give preference to somebody with a degree, but at the end of the day, it's all about experience and what level you're coming into the shop.
Yeah, for our company, we have all levels. Obviously we have a landscape company and we're all the way up to, top management, but on normally an LCC student, just give you an idea of why you would keep in some sort of a college for like a trade school, probably $5 to $10 an hour more for a LCC student on average. I mean, $10 for someone that would be like a 2-year automotive diesel degree versus welding or something like that. But it is substantially more money for that. But we take them. We'll take you if you just want to out of high school and want to drive a tractor. I mean, we've got that too. You're just going to be a little harder to move up, but we do train people if we see that they're interested in certain parts of, they want to drive truck even, once they see all the equipment, they decide they want to drive an excavator or loader. We say, okay, let's go. And so we can do anything, but you're going to end up a little better if you get a little schooling.
And LCC, remind me again, is it a 2-year program? Is that the only program available or is there more?
So, yeah, our program is a 2-year AAS degree. We are articulated with several other schools that will offer you a bachelor's degree. And so, yeah, here at Lane, we take all comers. We have folks that come in at all different levels. Some folks have never changed the oil on their own vehicles, and most of them are often like Jacob and I was. We were taking things apart when we were too small to be or too young to be doing that, and just kind of came to a program like this with a passion, and so. Yeah, we definitely, it is currently an AAS degree program. It has been for over 50 years. And there really are a lot of graduates. When I say 50 years, that means there's a lot of graduates around Lane County, certainly around the country, but a lot of shops have hired the graduates of this program. So.
And do you, we talked about how some LCC students will get hired before their program ends. Do you all make sure that they finish that 2-year degree as you keep them on as employees, or do you take them on? What does that look like?
Well, we'll take people at any level. So somebody, whatever ability they've got, we'll take them where they're at.
Do you then want them to finish up their degrees though? If they are, you know, a year and a half through LCC, you pick them up. Do you want them to finish that?
Yeah, we've had some students that came on after the first year and then worked evenings for me and finished up their degree, working and taking school during the day. So, and then some of them just, I don't know if they just dropped out or decided, you know, they could do it on their own, and we taught them with the rest, but they do better in the auto diesel. You really do better if you take both years though.
Yeah, I would say a completed degree there is what we look for. We wouldn't want to interrupt that. So we do take people in for the summertime. That's one of our busiest seasons. So we'll bring them in, do an internship over the summer, and they'll go back to school in the fall. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Jacob, did you want to add something?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say about what both of them did. It seems like most of the companies want them to work with them and want them to pursue the degree. And the highway truck side is a little more convenient because there's a lot of swing shifts, so they don't have, they can get a lot of hours. It takes a lot of dedication and time. Some students do better than others. Some have to pull back a little bit on the workload, but that's just individual to each student.
Steve?
Well, one last thing to add to that. Some of the companies in our area are beginning to help the students complete their degrees, tuition reimbursement programs and scholarships and such. And so, you know, I know this speaks to some of the students and certainly mom and dad. There is support on the financial side. Lane Community College had over $900,000 in scholarships last year. And I'm sure they will have as much or more this year. And so, yeah.
There's a question in the chat, and I want to do that one next. But before, since we're kind of on the kind of school topic, one of the student questions that was asked prior to this panel was, can a student attend LCC's diesel mechanic program with a GED, or do they need a high school diploma?
Okay, and so I checked with the folks here on campus to be sure. I thought it was the case, but I did confirm that yeah, you can come through Lane with a GED, and certainly the diesel program. Yep.
Great. All right. So question in the chat, how well can you balance family life and your careers? I assume that this career can be pretty taxing, long hours, long days. So how do you balance that? How well do you balance it? Or any tips and tricks for students coming to this field? Brian?
Some of us balance it pretty well. It just depends on how you look at it. You know, working for a family-owned company, that's usually the top priority for everyone that we work for that own the company. So if you need time, it's very important that you learn how to do that. And a lot of times it's you as an individual just making that decision that, you know, you gotta perform, you gotta go to work every day, but you know, you gotta go home and have a family life too. So it's just a personal choice that you've got to learn how to do.
Yeah, I personally had a hard time.
Yeah, I can say
as well.
Arlen, do you want to go ahead?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, I didn't do as well. I worked a little too many hours early on, and so you got to watch that. You got to just do your family life and keep it in order.
Okay, Randy.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a learned skill. Probably a lot of people on this call or on the panel, it's something that we learned over time. I know here at Pape, it's definitely the best company I've worked for as far as, you know, work-life balance. every location. In the front, when you walk through, it actually talks about it. So it talks about, the first thing that should be important is your health. The second thing is your family. So it's important to the company. It's important to the Papes. It's important to the Pape family. So all of those things are really important. And yeah, I would say Pape is really good and really understanding about knowing that we're all real people, and that balance is super important.
I would definitely agree. For the most part, it is a learned skill. I mean, just like any other job, you're going to have those frustrating days, and you just try to not take that home with you. That way, your family life is your family, and work life, you just start over the next day and try to work through the problem type of thing. But yeah, it's definitely a learned skill.
Yeah, and with we have a unique schedule, having summers off, so I get to have the time off with my daughter. That's great. And I learned that skill that they're all talking about, or learned to make the choice when I was going to school full time and working full time. I literally didn't see my family until Saturday morning, and it was pretty taxing. I could tell it, not just on me, but them more so than myself. So unfortunately for my daughter, she kind of gets the short end of the stick now because I instruct students all day, and some days I am annoyed by the time I get home because I've told students to do a bunch of stuff multiple times. It doesn't happen, so she she doesn't get too much leniency there. I'm already not upset, but so.
At capacity.
Yeah, right.
Stephen, anything to add? How you balance?
Well, so I think everyone's told the story well. It is something you have to learn. I would like to add this, though, and this is important for a young person that's beginning to think about what they're going to do in their careers. You certainly can count on a change in the diesel industry that's happened, I don't know, in the last several years. All these folks that are on the panel, and most of them that are going to consider hiring you in our area are paying a living wage. They're paying, I would have to say, just better than we've ever seen before. So yeah, you do have to learn all of those tricks and how to balance life and such. But it's important to know in the diesel industry and certainly automotive as well. Sorry, Brian, but you're gonna be able to afford to do the things with your family that you want to do, and that's important. We're talking about careers here, and so that's just what I would add.
I think this career, a lot of trade industry careers, they are lifelong careers, and I think that's something that it's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see that some of you have started years ago, sweeping the shop, and that's not uncommon. So I think it's great that this can be a really good career decision for young folks still. Another question, I think this is an educator talking with his class. So what kind of benefits do you receive, and what pay range can you expect as a diesel mechanic? Whoever wants to tackle it.
I'm saying $20 to $35 an hour is like our range.
And then is that full benefits for full-time employees? Okay.
You bet. Vacation and everything, yeah.
Okay. Retirement accounts?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the benefit packages, I think that everybody on here is familiar with. We're all pretty close, and they're good benefits. Retirements, 401s. There's quite a few things that are available, and pay range, tax, it could be anywhere in that $22 to $38. So it's a wide range between trainees coming out and some journeyman level guys that are out there in the field. So
right,
along with overtime, it's a pretty good living. So.
Is overtime pretty typical? I know we just talked about work and family life balance, and I know it can be pretty sweet to get that overtime check, but is overtime pretty typical in this field? Yes, no.
It's kind of up to the workers. We don't generally make them, but a lot of them like to work 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely do people work more than 10 hours a day though. And always have, well, most of the time have weekends off.
Yeah.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, we do our best here to just do 40 hours a week. Sometimes it's 45. Rarely ever work weekends, but it does happen occasionally.
And Brian, what is your kind of benefits? Is there anything different with your benefits package? And then what's your pay range? It's a little bit different because it's not strictly diesel, but.
The pay range, I mean, that's pretty close to what these other guys were saying. Benefits, we've got retirement with employer contribution, medical, dental. It's pretty standard even with how small we are. We've still got pretty similar benefits.
So I apologize. I think my connection got interrupted, but for us, I would say the pay range is probably between 25 and the high 30s. We're going to have a pretty comprehensive benefit package, like I'm sure everybody else is. And then retirement, 401k. We're going to have paid sick leave, paid vacation time, and paid holidays. So I would think that probably everybody on the call is pretty competitive and have like benefits.
Sounds like it. Sounds great. And I guess those levels or pay ranges kind of depend on what certifications you have or what position that you're in. Jacob or Steve, anything to add to that?
It's pretty standard across working in industry and transferring to education. It's pretty standard. The big companies or any company that wants good employees are going to have to do the same as everyone else, or pretty close to the same thing, or they'll jump ship.
Right.
Yeah, just to add to the livable wage thing though, it definitely is a livable wage if you figure out what that kind of money is, multiply it times the 40 hours a week. But and I made this statement once, kind of a famous statement, but we love the 4-year college students that come to work for us because by and large, they make less than the LCC 2-year degree students make because they majored in business or something that they didn't really know what they were doing, and they ended up working in the landscape crew or something.
Interesting. Steve?
Yeah, sorry, I guess I've kind of already addressed this one, but yeah, the pay, we're hearing the same thing all across the industry. In the mid 20s to the high 30s, and yeah, back to the same thing. It's a living wage. I got to tell you, that's a really important thing. You don't want to finish your whatever school you go to, whatever degree you achieve, and whatever field you go into. Certainly, we want you in the diesel and the automotive, but wherever you go, you want to know that there's a good wage there, that there's a career that you're going to be able to move into, and yeah, it certainly is the case here in the diesel industry. So
this question may be a little bit difficult because I know some people can kind of cross to different companies and move up in that way, but do you have an idea of what percentage of employees come in and make your business their career path? They're through their career.
Well, that gets down to you treating them correctly. I mean, they do stick around. I mean, I think our average is in the 20s years that they stay around, and it just, I mean, if you don't pay them right and are competitive, then they're going to move on, or benefits and whatever. So I think that all of the businesses here have nice places to work, so it's not, bad working conditions, but you do have to keep up with the times on the pay.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of our retirees are going out with 35 plus years from Peterson. So it's a lifetime, it's a career job if you're looking for one. It's also skills that you can take anywhere in the country. If you needed to make a change for family reasons or whatever, you take that with you. So the diesel technician programs, automotive, either one, I mean, you can take that anywhere you decide you're going to end up. So it's a good path.
Yeah, so here at PAP-A, I looked at just our entry level positions. So people coming in with, that maybe aren't educated or coming straight out of high school, going into an entry level position. We're about 80% of the people that start with us at an entry level position continue on through the company. Up until last year, we actually had a pretty long tenure, but we had a real big group of people that retired with 40 plus years. It seems like over the last 2-3 years, that's kind of brought our stat down, but realistically, it's still really long. We have a gentleman that works at corporate that started with the company when he was 18. I think he's 73 now. Definitely a lot of opportunity within the company. So even if you came in, whether it's entry level or as a tech and decided, no, I want to go into sales or I want to work at your corporate office or something, we average probably 70 or 80 open postings for jobs just in the local area pretty consistently. So a lot of opportunity to stay within the company and do other things.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a little bit harder to say for us. We're kind of smaller fish in this pond here, but we've only been around for about 10 years. I've worked here for 9. One of our service providers has worked here for 4 or 5 years. One of our techs is going on a little over 2 now. So, we definitely like to keep our employees around and like them to make it a career. Just a little hard to say because we haven't been around for 90 years yet.
You'll get there, I bet. So what is, changed kind of direction a little bit, what is the most important or a few of the most important professional skills that students should have coming into this field?
Well, I wouldn't have said this when I graduated because we didn't have any electronics at all. I mean, zero. And we didn't even have alternators. We had generators back then. So I'm dated myself a little bit right there, but the technology with computers and that's really the lion's share of a lot of the diesel skills is understanding computers, which most of the kids do nowadays, but all that technology is way different than when I graduated.
Is yours, follow-up question on that, do you look for more technical skills than the professional skills? Professional skills like, can they communicate? Can they show up on time? Those like skills?
They got to do that.
Okay. Okay, great. And I guess that's a good distinction is when you're saying, a few of the most important skills, are there specific technical skills and are there specific workplace skills that you're looking for when you're looking at the new wave of students coming in?
Well, when I said technical, I meant like, electronics and that's, there's so much of that going on. But obviously people's attitude and showing up and work ethic is key. And you don't get $1 an hour raise every year you work there. We have people that gain $5 an hour a year because you can say, oh, this guy's good. And you get rewarded for what you do. So you pay attention at school because, Stephen knows there's people that don't really apply themselves and people that are just, oh, that guy's a winner. And so, I'd like to have those guys' names, Steve.
Maybe we all would.
We'll share them after this. Randy, I saw you unmute.
I think, it depends on, the position. I think we're kind of, using a broad stroke here and covering a lot of things where we're talking about, entry level versus, tax or a 2-year program or what that looks like for people. But I think there's a baseline, for people coming into the industry. So team-oriented, positive attitude, willingness to learn. Beyond that, on the technical side specifically, absolutely, computer orientation, understanding of programs. Going through a technical trade school is going to be helpful. They're going to prepare you for a lot of that kind of stuff. And then when you you go to a company, there's going to be, different stuff that we're going to teach you versus what Brian with Peterson Cat might teach you. We're going to have a lot of similarities, and a lot of things are going to, cross-reference. But then there's going to be some specific stuff that you're going to have to learn no matter what company you go to work for. So just the understanding that, learning is a process, and it's going to continue even post going through, like LCC's program.
Yeah, I think someone is up to date on the technology is, they have an advantage over some of the older techs, but it's tough to catch up. Every year we see new technology come out, and everybody has to go through annual training on the new product. So it's continuous, and along with that, you're picking up some of the older generation machine knowledge and adding that. It has nothing to do with technology. So it's a broad scope. I mean, but showing up on time, just being a good person, good attitude, those are really what we have. The rest of it, we can put training into it.
Mm-hmm. Brian?
Yeah, so obviously showing up on time is a pretty big deal. Having a good attitude is huge in the shop environment. Us being a small shop, we're all pretty close here. You got to have some pretty good problem solving skills, the ability to learn a new way to do things, even if you've been doing something since you were a kid one way, maybe that's not the right way anymore. You definitely need some strong technical skills, computer skills. Honor a lot of the days of just hitting something with a hammer, and you're getting out an oscilloscope and a laptop and looking at signals really close. So things have changed a lot. You just got to be willing to adapt and learn.
Steve?
So what I would tell you is kind of what everybody is saying here. I know everyone is in agreement that the younger generation, you folks we're speaking to, you've got great computer skills. And so I would just continue to work on those, and not just maybe how to work in an operating or a software program, but maintenance and service of those systems, because everybody utilizes some type of electronic service tool. It's the way we communicate with all the equipment, but those systems need maintenance, and often you are going to be challenged to perform some of that maintenance. There may be an IT division, there may be folks that specialize in it at the work site, but the more you're able to do, the more on time, I guess, you're going to have. And as far as the good work ethic and maybe hardworking, showing up to work every day, that type of thing. I hear this in almost all of the meetings I attend like this, and I see the young folks that are kind of challenged with this, maybe just work ethic, I guess, if I could say it that way. And I would just like to say to you, find somebody in your life that you consider to be a hardworking person, and do that. Look at what they're doing and try to figure it out, because everybody here on this panel is just going to ask you for a solid day's work. They're gonna reward you for a solid day's work. You just need to figure out what that is. I mean, Jacob and I are going to tell you while you're in the program. During the 2 years you're out here in this program, you're probably going to get real tired of hearing us move you forward. It's because we understand what these folks need and what they expect. After 50 years, again, they wouldn't be coming here to hire you out of our program if we weren't listening to them. And so, right. Yeah, those folks that you might have in your life, family members, neighbors, that just seem to be hardworking people, again, just try to emulate them or do what they're doing. You'll set yourself above so many people out there today if I make any sense to you at all.
Great. Jacob, anything to add?
I just these guys, some of the students, or a lot of students that come to us, don't like school, and you've heard you got to continue to learn a lot, and you do this industry every day. You're learning, you're continuing to keep up on current training, and I just want you some of you students that may or may not like school, realize that learning in the industry and in the shop it's completely different than even what we do here at the college. So that learning, it's just fun, and it's just not school. So I just want you guys to know, some of us don't like school. We don't want to be deterred from this industry because it's different, I promise.
Steve and Jacob, do you have like paper tests that you do, or is it all hands-on testing? I'm curious. Do you have classroom time?
Yeah, they get some pretty ornery quizzes, and
Okay.
we have every week, and we have finals and midterms, and but yeah, we're in the lab for equal or more time than in the classroom.
Okay.
But yeah, we have to gauge them somehow, and so we don't want to send. Well, yeah, no, they do have some homework, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. You summed it up very quickly. We do have weekly quizzes, homework assignments, midterms and finals, and both 50-50. Half the time we're in the classroom, half the time we're in the lab, and it's one thing to be able to take that test or explain what you're doing, but you got to be able to perform it as well. And we probably put a little bit more weight on that actual performance. And when I say that, we work with you first. We don't just expect you to come here and know how to do it. We will take you through it, and in the end, yeah, it's pretty challenging though. A lot of, again, like Jacob said, it's a way we measure you.
Yeah, I'd like to add the fact I didn't really like school either. And if you really are liking equipment and cars and trucks and stuff, it's more like recess. I mean, you look forward to going to school because it's what you want to do, and it's fun. It's not like school, that's for sure.
In the spirit of what Steve said about finding someone kind of like a mentor and seeing how hard they work and kind of emulating that, for the businesses, are any of you open to having informational interviews, job shadows, or internships at your sites to kind of show some of the students what the work looks like? Brian or Poppy, sorry.
Yeah, we definitely are. We actually have an apprentice right here that's working for us from Lane Community College. We are definitely, we'd be willing to do a job shadow, or whatever needs to happen.
For high school students as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
Yeah, we actually have a recruiter. His name's Nick Chapman. He wasn't able to be on the call today, but he's definitely somebody we could get involved that could really bring all of that together. No matter if you're in high school or you're in college or you're going through a specific program. And he works with all of the PAPE group of companies. So no matter if it was, corporate or Kenworth or Ditch Witch, or Rents, he would be a great asset to help and do that. So I can definitely, get you that information.
Great. Brian from Peterson?
Yeah, we do the internships, as much as we can at all locations. So yeah, we just took a guy for the summer. I have to say, Steve, he was from the place a little north of us, but we had a guy in the program up there that just wanted to be around that stuff. So we're going to give him a summer in the yard, running equipment, helping us out, and then he'll finish up next fall up there. So it's any chance we have to bring those guys in and get some shop time it makes a huge difference in their schooling and how they finish out. So it's definitely something we use all the time.
Yeah, I got something to add real quick to that. I'll be short. When we get the guys in the shop, we see their improvement almost overnight. The first week or two, they pick up on things that they weren't getting before. So them getting in those shops and getting out there, we see it almost instantly in the classroom.
Arlen, are you open to job shadows or high school interns at all?
Well, we have to be kind of careful of the age. Okay. We really need them to be over 18 around the equipment that we have and stuff, but that puts them usually in college age. And what Jacob was talking about, which is what we really like, is people that are working, going to school and want to kind of get a little extra schooling by working as intern and, or, you know, in the evenings or whatever, then that's where he sees them. They learn a lot because they're learning real stuff on the job as well, learning textbook stuff too. So we really, that's what we like the best, actually.
Okay, great. I'm going to do a last call for questions out there from any of the students or educators who are on this call. So while any of those are coming in, maybe we can start to wrap up. You all had alluded to, when I asked about technical or professional, you know, workplace skills that you would like to see, you all kind of alluded to tech as tech is growing and things are changing. So can you just talk a little bit about how the industry is changing to the more advanced technology, you know, what that looks like, or, you know,
Yep.
how's it different? Yeah, Brian?
I would say, as far as technology goes, our biggest thing right now is Caterpillar runs Product Link on every machine that's in the field. So it doesn't matter if it's in Eugene working or out of SIO on a login job, we can actually see what that machine is doing live on real time. And so if something is going wrong, we can see that. So the ability to read the codes and understand what is going on a computer screen before you head out of the store and go to the woods. I mean, that is huge on what we do nowadays. And that's a big part of our business, is monitoring the equipment real time. So.
Okay. Other companies, you want to talk about where it's going? Randy? Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I was a tech, and I kind of started when the industry was making a transition from a lot of really older equipment to kind of newer equipment where technology was just barely getting underway, whereas now everything has onboard diagnostics. Like Brian talked about, telematics. Almost everything we have has telematics, so it's communicating the whole time it's out there. With the system, somebody monitoring the system, and if there's a failure, you know, it's giving the feedback to the system. But at the same time, you know, we service a lot of customer-owned equipment, and so that equipment might not fall into that age bracket where, you know, technology is, you know, might not necessarily, you know, be built into that equipment. So it really takes a real diverse group of people to do what we do nowadays. I think, you know, as we go forward, technology will, you know, more and more and more. But I think it's still important to remember there's a lot of older equipment out there that, you know, still takes somebody to diagnose stuff the old school way. So there's a lot of opportunity to learn that too. But definitely, you know, being able to plug in with a laptop, understanding what all of that means, using the onboard diagnostics, using the telematics. There's a lot of systems all trying to communicate information.
So back in the 70s and early 80s, when I was young, back then we would rebuild engines every 100,000 miles at the best. Now you get yourself a good CAT engine. You're welcome, Brian. CAT engine, it'll go 1.2, 1.5 million miles. So what was a very important trade back then was engine rebuilding. You just don't even, the trucks wore out by then. You know, some trucks don't ever see a rebuild. So the technology and learning wire, you know, low voltage wiring and just understanding systems, that's the trend nowadays.
Yeah, so technology, I mean, it continues to advance in cars and light diesel too. I mean, everything from emission systems, communications. We're not just looking at stuff with a voltmeter. It's not 12 volts anymore. We're looking at a square wave on an oscilloscope while watching live data on a scan tool. But like Randy said, we do have the older stuff that comes in too, where you couldn't hook a scan tool up to it even if you wanted to. So we do definitely have both aspects of that. You do need to work on both, and it's something you just learn over time.
And to LCC, I assume you all are keeping up, as industry is moving and changing. In teaching, you have to keep up with that as well, is my assumption.
Yeah, we definitely cover the electronics, the telematics systems in several different classes out here. And yeah, we see the movement in the industry. It's definitely becoming more and more electronic controlled. I don't think there's too many systems left on the vehicles that are not electronic controlled. And so it's incorporated into several of our classes.
I would think too, we mentioned, Steve, we talk about emissions all the time, but the regulations that surround emissions nowadays, someone that knows how to troubleshoot DEF systems and any of the emission pieces, knowing that product is huge because it is so new and it's been forced onto the industry so quickly that there tends to be a lot of troubleshooting to go along with that side of the engines. So
sounds like a little bit of catch up, maybe. Things, industry moves quickly and then everyone needs to kind of catch up and learn that pretty quickly. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any last pieces of advice for students as they're coming into this field? Anything else you want to add before we just wrap up?
I would say just before you decide what college you're going to go to, really strongly consider a trade school. I just see that's the hole in the industry. What we're lacking is people with those skills of just a trade, not a business degree. I know a lot of people need to do that too. So I'm not talking bad, but if I had a kid, I'd be saying, hey, you really should look at this, couple years trade school. You're going to go a long ways. I think that's the big hole right now.
I would agree with Arlen. Right now, we are just struggling to find enough people to hire. So the trade schools, it's a great life path. Income is very, very good in it. And it's a 2-year program. You don't come out with a ton of debt that you got to live with. So you come out and go right to work. So I would say the 2-year programs are where we're looking right now. So.
Any other last piece of advice? Randy?
I definitely agree with everybody, trades.
Uh-oh.
A lot of opportunity. I think too, even if you get into it and it's, maybe not exactly what you wanted. Somebody like me, I was a tech, I was a field tech, and I transitioned into something else. So, I mean, that opportunity exists too. Something else I would give advice to that I wish somebody would have given me advice at the time would be pick a company that safety is important. When I started out in the industry, that wasn't the top priority. Safety was not a concern for a lot of companies. And I've certainly paid for it, later in life. I can say, definitely here at PAPA, safety is job number one. If you can't do it safe, we'd rather have you not do it. I wish I would have worked for a company like that when I was young.
Great.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask one quick question to you guys on the board there. You're all very successful, big companies, own them, managing them. All of you are managing. How many of you have a bachelor's degree?
My LCC.
I just wanted some of the students out there to realize where these guys are and how they got there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to college, so I started sweeping floors.
I'm with Randy there. So.
I'm a community college graduate.
So I got a statistic to throw out there to the crowd, and this is something that I heard several times, and I finally had to research it myself. It comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and you might have heard of Mike Rowe, Mr. Dirty Jobs. He said this several times, and I finally, again, looked it up. At the end of March, the Bureau of Labor showed that we had 8.1 million jobs available in the United States. 77% of them do not require a bachelor's degree or higher. So we're talking about 3/4 of the jobs in the country. Just wanted to throw that out.
Wow, that's amazing.
On top of that, the Fortune 500 companies, and I heard this fact, I don't know if it's true or not, but 80% of the presidents of the Fortune 500 companies didn't go to college.
Two-year degrees are great. I think, two-year degrees, LCC's program, this industry is proven, even in this short amount of time, to be such a great option for a long-term career, a really good long-term career, and a living wage and a family wage as well. If there's no other last-minute jump and interrupt me, but if there's no other last-minute things you all want to say to the students, we will go ahead and wrap up. Thank you all so much for being here and having us come into your companies and into your shops. And LCC, thanks for having us in and touring as well and seeing those students who hopefully will soon be working for all of your companies. Thanks for being here, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.